Hello everyone, the freelance teacher's back. It's been about 2 weeks because we have gone into summer vacation and I'm doing a bunch of things over the summer, my side hustles and other things going on as well. People have asked me though to comment on some of the current goings on. So here you go. Here I will talk about what is one of the playlists on my YouTube channel, not the standard teacher opinion. Because you know what the standard teacher opinion is, isn't it? Go down the list of every high school, middle school teacher you have or have had. And what are they going to say? We know, you and I both know, they're going to say Republicans are bad, Democrats are good, everyone pay their fair share, repeat. That's every teacher you have, pretty much. I would guess 95%. You'll have a few exceptions here and there, but even that kind of like deep, kind of, edgy blazer wearing with the shoulder pads and the elbow pads dude, math teacher with the beard who's kind of offbeat. At the end of the day, that guy's gonna be like, yeah, well, the Republicans, they're kind of fascists, and those conservatives and libertarians just, they don't get it, and people got to pay into the system and blah, blah, blah. Okay? So my opinion is not that. Let's just say it. To say the least. There is an unbelievable amount of hysteria and illogic and chaos and shrillness about Donald Trump of late because he met with Vladimir Putin in Helsinki, Finland. He had a summit with the Russian leader. Just like probably almost every president since the 1930s has had a summit with the Russian leader. Okay? So think about that for a second. Just that. Putin summit, Soviet Union back in my day, Russian leader, American leader. Big whoop. Here's the difference. Now you have this amazing amount of shrillness and hysteria and shrieking about this. People are calling it treason. And just like with that family thing at the border that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, in the press you had a common amount of wording. You had a common phrase of children ripped from their parents. Ripped was the word. Now you have two things coming up. You have Donald Trump and they're talking about treason, which this is ridiculous to think that meeting with the Russian leader is treason. If it is, start the indictments all the way down to 1934, right? Let's dig up FDR's corpse and have him dug up and indicted for treason. And also you have this on foreign soil because Trump met with the Russian leader and he wasn't in America. Okay, and they're shrieking about this. Now, first of all, it's neutral soil. The whole point of that conference and being in Helsinki, Finland, is it's not Finnish soil. It's international soil. So it's not foreign soil in the sense of it's belonging to someone and Trump is committing some kind of egregious sin. The other thing that's really weird, that if you really need to dig into this a little bit, is what I have taught you for years. And you analyze the reaction. Now, what I'm saying is this. Look at the establishment Republicans and Democratic liberal progressives screaming about Trump's visit with Putin. And if you think that this Republican stuff is false, look at somebody like Bill Kristol, National Review, the entire staff at the Weekly Standard. There are members of Congress who are Republicans, who are just frothing at the mouth at how terrible and treasonous Trump is for this. So don't tell me that the Republicans are in lockstep. John McCain, the Bush family have come out and said this is ridiculous and terrible, and the Democrat progressive liberals screaming from the same mountaintop, this is terrible. Now, why is that? Why is that the case? Before we answer that, listen to this. You have two real liberal journalists right? And now again, we are analyzing the reaction. So establishment, Democratic, liberal, progressive, screaming to high heaven about this. Same thing with establishment conservatism, Inc. We call it big conservatives. I'm talking about the McCains of the world and the Paul Ryans of the world. They hate Trump. And they're Republicans, right? Hey, I thought all Republicans were on the same side. Something is up. So let me make the connections for you. But before we get there real quick, two liberal reporters, and I bring them up on purpose by name because they are honorable people, honorable, real liberal types. I'm talking about Michael Tracy, a guy who used to work for the Young Turks until very recently, and Glenn Greenwald, who for years has lived in Brazil, because it would he could live the lifestyle he wanted with his partner, and he is an actual liberal and a person of integrity. Both of those guys, and I pick them out and pull them out on purpose, along with former Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney, black woman from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Those people are all saying the same thing. They're like, hey, wait a minute. The only people who lose are the people who are part of the Uniparty, the Eternal War Party. If Trump creates a peaceful situation with a controlled situation with regards to Russia's nuclear arsenal, and we, the United States, right, like I have a say, are working with Russia and part of an alliance to some degree, or at least are having an agreement and peace, there will be no war with Russia. And who loses? The big warfare state, the big gigantic military contractors, the people who the left have been screaming about since at least the 1960s. They lose. Who else loses? The deep state, the hardcore globalist types who've sold out the United States, the FBI and the CIA, the people who did COINTELPRO, who spied on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. These people hate Trump too. So your hashtag resistance, because you're hating Donald Trump, you're actually throwing weight behind the dark forces in government, the deep state, these intelligence agencies who've spied on you for 25 years against your will, violating your civil rights. Did I mention COINTELPRO? Your resistance is by going up against Trump, as crazy as this sounds. You're pro-war, pro-FBI, pro-CIA, pro-secret government, pro having American soldiers go overseas and fight and get killed and maimed. All the things that you were screaming about when George W. Bush was president, by resisting Trump, you're putting power in those dark Bush-Clinton hands. I've never seen anything like it. And who are the names that stick out to me who see the truth? Michael Tracy, Glenn Greenwald, Ron Paul. Ron Paul has said, you know what? And Ron Paul's no fan of big government and this gigantic megapolis government that Donald Trump has decided that he wants to take the reins. Ron Paul's not about that. But Ron Paul said, look, if this can be a peaceful situation between the United States and Russia, that's great. You don't want war. Cynthia McKinney, PhD, who got pushed out because she's a woman of integrity and wouldn't sign the Israel pledge. Right? McKinney's the one that was wondering why the constituents of Stone Mountain, Georgia, had to be loyal to Israel. I don't have much of an issue with Israel, but she sure was right. Like, what does a baker in Stone Mountain, Georgia care about what's going on in Israel policy, and that the congresswoman is loyal to Israel? It's bizarre. Makes no sense at all. Right? Do they do it over there too? Do the Israeli politicians sign a loyalty pledge to the United States? Maybe they do. I don't know. Whole thing's bizarre. But McKinney just saw that and asked questions about it. So McKinney, of all people, says, go Trump, go. Democratic, black woman from the South, says, if we can have peace, let's do it. Trump, go for it. And it is obvious to her that the deep state, the eternal warfare state, the gigantic military-industrial complex that probably controls much of your federal government, the money spigot gets partially shut off. Not even totally. Like, some of the dollars probably won't flow. And they're going crazy. And who's going crazy? Mainstream corporate media. And don't think that that's media. That's public relations. I want you to think of it this way from this day forward. The media outlets that you listen to, and me too, I don't exempt myself. The media outlets that anybody listens to, think of it this way so you can at least have a real opinion. They are parroting and pushing the views of their advertisers and or paymasters, meaning wherever the money is coming from, that's the position they take. The New York Times has never met a war that it didn't like. At the beginning of all of them, the New York Times, you can go look it up. Yeah, we need to do this. And even the W. Bush Iraq fiasco, they've got weapons of mass destruction. Hey, Bush administration, we'll keep it quiet. We know that you're spying on Americans, but we're not going to say anything about it. And that lasted for a year. So don't tell me that liberal media hates the Republicans. They are allied with the big warfare state. They're allied with the status quo. They're allied with power brokers. So now you see those power brokers, they don't like Trump. And they are screaming to holy hell and screaming from the mountaintop about how terrible he is. And the treason train, hashtag treason train. I've never seen anything so stupid in my entire life. And the sad thing is, and it really bothers me, is I have a lot of intelligent friends in terms of intellect, bright people. And I see so much nonsense on social media that it's disturbing that people simply see what they see on CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, NBC, New York Times, and they just buy it. They just agree with it. I see more Trump racist, Trump treason. I saw, and here's the weird part, I'll end with this because I like to point out some of these inconsistencies that the current zeitgeist seems to tolerate. There's a thread on social media that I saw on, and it used homophobic, anti-LGBTQ imagery with regards to Donald Trump and his personage and Vladimir Trump and his person, and talking about various things in terms of lubrication and what have you, and with or without it. I mean, really hardcore that in any other venue, they would have gotten crushed, if not gotten doxxed and yelled at for homophobic language. This is somehow tolerable and acceptable. And not only is it acceptable, people came in yeah, write this. That's so funny with Vaseline or without, right? I mean, it was really disturbing stuff. These are progressive liberals. All of them. And that is some sick homophobic stuff. But guess what? It's okay. Why? Because those people, and I don't get why, because they're not stupid people. They've been told by CNN that Trump is bad and he's a treasonous jerk who should be eliminated and gotten out of there, and he's a racist and this is bad. And they just repeat it. Trump derangement syndrome, I've talked about it before. Something is really weird. But it shows you the power of the authority to warp and shape public opinion. Edward Bernays would be proud that his lessons have been maintained. He was the father of propaganda. He saw that word had negative connotations, so he called it public relations. And that's what I'm telling you. It's public relations for big war, big status quo, big military. They're angry. And by resisting Trump, you are helping them. And I know it sounds crazy because of what you hear, but that's how it is. That's your lesson for today. Have a good night. Talk to you soon, next couple days.